Good morning, Year 6. Hope you've got that Friday feeling. And it's the last literacy video before you're back in school on Monday. I can't wait to see you all. Okay, since it's Friday, we're starting off our literacy activities with our spelling test, which you can do either on EdShed or you can do in your purple book and get somebody to test you. Don't forget to send your scores in. Hopefully, we'll get lots of 10s out of 10. Right, when you've done that, you're going to have a little go at our handwriting practice. We're going to have a little look at the letter N today. So I've got standing, original vision, anxiously, and wrinkled. And these are just words I've picked out of the activities that you're going to be doing today. So as always, I'm going to give you an example of each of the words, and then you're going to have a little go at 2 rows of standing, 2 of original, 2 of vision, 2 of anxiously, 2 of wrinkled in your purple books, please. Okay? So I'm going to lead into the S, tall T, A-N-D-I-N-G. Remember, we loop the G, and we've got the dots and the crosses for the I and the T right at the end. So now we've got original, O-R-I-G-I-N-A-L. And remember, the G is looped and it sits on the line. And we've got vision. Okay, so we'll lead into the V, I-S-I-O-N. Make sure, please, that the S is the same height as the I and the V and the O and the N. Then we've got anxiously. Now, these X's are still causing me a little bit of confusion, but I'll see how we get on. So, A-N into the X, I-O-U-S-L-Y, and then I cross the X and dot the I. I remembered it this time, but it takes a bit of practice. So you might find that you might want to do 2 or 3 rows of anxiously. Okay. And then finally, wrinkled. Remember, we've got the pointy W into the R, I, and the curly K, L, D. Okay. Right, pause the video. Purple books, 2 lines of each. Off you go. Good luck with anxiously. Right, let's have a look at our text today, what we're going to be doing. So you're going to need your writing book today, and you're going to look at page 27. I've got page 27 on the visualizer, and we're going to have a little look and see what we're going to be concentrating on today. So we're going to be looking at a section called the Haunted Hills, and it's a little bit of a description, okay, and a little bit of a ghost story, so it should be a nice way to finish our home learning. So it says writers need to describe the settings in their stories effectively so that readers can picture the places where the story's action is happening. So you can immerse yourself. The better the description, the more you can picture it and visualize yourself there. You can use similes and metaphors and personification excuse me, to make your settings lifelike and memorable. Looked at all of those kinds of things. Language which appeals to the senses can also help to make your writing vivid. And then we're given some examples of each of those. So a simile describes one thing as being similar to another. And so you very often use the word as or like. So the bark of the tree looked like wrinkled skin. A metaphor describes something by saying it is something else. So the tree was a mountain, timeless and unmovable. Then you've got personification that uses human qualities to describe something that's not human. So the tree's branches trembled anxiously in the strong wind. They're not trembling, they're just moving in the wind. But if you say they're trembling, it gets that sense of suspense and fear, and it really gets your reader thinking, "Ooh, what's going to go on here?" So appeals to the senses. Those are descriptions that use your senses, one or more of those senses. Okay, so the young leaves were soft and slightly damp between my fingers. So what you have got, and I'll turn back to the board now, you have got a question at the bottom of that page. You've got this extract, and what you've got to do is you're given two examples from the extract. You've got to say which of the techniques is being used. So is it a simile, metaphor, appealing to the senses, personification? And then you've got to say how it makes you feel. So it says the wind was a million glass shards cutting through my clothes as I reached the top of the peak. So how does that make you feel? A million shards of glass. So that idea, it'd be really painful as you're walking in that wind. All around me, rugged mountains stood guard over the land. So you can picture everywhere around you are these mountains, appealing to your senses there. On a nearby hill, the ruins of a castle sat like a row of jagged teeth. So there you've got that, again, you've got that word like, that gives you a clue as to what type of figurative language that is being used to describe the ruins of the castle there. For a second, I saw a ghostly vision of the original castle standing there proudly before a fluttering veil of mist obscured it. Now, obscured it means it makes it blurred. You can't really see it. And that fluttering veil, it's the idea, it's that thin, that thin sort of mist that's sort of just in front of your eyes, that's almost like a veil that in front, so you can't quite see things clearly. So, you have got the wind was a million glass shards. So what type of figurative language is that? Is it a simile? Is it a metaphor? Is it personification? Or is it appealing to your senses? So you're going to write what technique it is and how it makes you feel. And the same for the next example. The ruins of a castle sat like a row of jagged teeth. Like is a big clue there. What technique is being used? How does it make you feel? So I would like you to read the extract again, find those two examples, look back at the descriptions of the types of techniques that can be used, the type of figurative language, and then describe what they are and how it makes you feel. Pause the video, have a go. Okay, year 6. Then you're going to go over the page. And you're going to go to page 28 now. And on page 28, you have got, there's 3 questions, and we're going to look at each of those, okay, in turn. So the first one says, the sentence in bold describes the walker's realization that the weather is about to worsen. We write it using a simile, then a metaphor, then personification. So you're thinking about these dark clouds, this weather, okay? So if I use that image of dark clouds, so as a simile, I might say something like, dark clouds as black as coal littered the sky, okay? So I might say, dark clouds as black as coal littered the sky. And I've got the as there, it tells me it's a simile, okay? So I'm talking about those dark clouds. Now, as a metaphor, I might say something like, the dark clouds were a blanket smothering the moon and the stars. Okay, so you get that idea, they're quite menacing. So they're smothering all that light, snuffing out the light. Okay, so the dark clouds were a blanket smothering the moon and the stars. So again, I'm using that dark cloud image. And then finally, personification. That's where I'm thinking about giving human qualities to those clouds. Okay, so I might say dark clouds danced and swirled and danced violently in the ferocious wind. Okay, so I've got given that clouds can't dance, they're just being blown about. So I might, as I say, it might be dark clouds danced and swirled across the evening sky, or danced and swirled in the ferocious winds. Okay, so that's what you need to do on there. Think about that dark cloud. How can you talk about the clouds as a simile, a metaphor and a personification. So then you've got question 3 on that page, and it says the walker sees somewhere to shelter in the valley. It says read the extract and underline the appeals to the senses. So anything in this extract that appeals to either your sense of sight, smell, taste, touch, okay, or what you hear, okay. So all of your 5 senses, okay. And I don't know whether I mentioned all of those yet. So let's try again. Okay, sense of sight, what you can see, sense of smell, sense of taste, sense of sound, and what you can feel. I think I did. Okay, but I have now. Right, so I walked towards the stone hut, biting into a jam sandwich and savouring its tangy sweetness. So there straight away, making me feel hungry. Okay, this person's been walking for a while, getting a bit hungry, so they've had something to eat. So that's appealing to my sense of taste. Okay, the tangy sweetness, all right, of the jam. So you're going to read the rest of that extract, anything to do with what you can see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. That's what you're going to underline in that extract. Okay, right. Now, the final question on the page 28, asks you to rewrite the sentence, but this time appealing to your senses. Okay, and the sense that's given in brackets. So the first one, you've got to appeal to the sense of smell. So I might say something like mold and the stale smell of damp, rotting objects tickled my nostrils. Not got a lot of room there. Okay, so mold and the stale smell of damp, rotting objects tickled my nostrils. So I'm talking about a sense of smell. I can smell those horrible things. Okay, I might say decaying, damp, decaying objects, damp, rotting objects. So use a thesaurus, get some really good vocabulary going in here. So I sat on the stone floor. It's about touch. So I might put something like, oh, here I'm going to go. I see cold fingers slowly crept up my body. Okay, and I might have making me shudder. So icy cold fingers, you've got the idea that cold is, coming from your toes and gradually creeping, making you feel cold. Okay. Now outside a thunderstorm began, and it's that idea of sound. So I might say something like, suddenly a huge explosion ricocheted or echoed around the air or around the sky, jolting me to my senses. So that kind of idea, that boom, that sudden boom of thunder that makes you, if you're not expecting it, jump. Okay, so that idea there. Okay, so question 2, you are creating similes, metaphors, and personification about dark clouds. Question 3, you are going to be looking at that extract, a little extract from the story again, and you're going to be underlining anything to do with the senses. Okay. And then finally, you're going to be making it appeal to your senses. These sentences don't at the moment, but whichever sense is in brackets, you're appealing to it. So you've got smell, touch, sound. Okay, so pause the video, have a little go at that page. Right, perfect. Your final literacy home learning challenge. You're going to have a look at page 29. And on that page, it's asking you to just sort of set that scene, describe the setting, what's going on in that castle, okay, this ghostly castle. You've got a fabulous picture and it looks much more eerie in your book, okay. It doesn't do it justice on here, but it's asking you what can the walker see in the landscape. Use similes. What does the castle look like? Use personification to make it look scary. What's the weather like? You could use metaphors to describe it. What are the smells and the sound of battle? So it's this next part of this story here. And you are going to be, your last challenge is to create a description of that. Now you can look back at previous extracts on page 27 and 28. You can use the metaphors and similes and sentences that you have already created on page 28. And you can also use my model as well and do a little bit of magpieing of some of the things that you perhaps like. So I've created a model of just a little bit of it. So I put the moon was a ribbon of light hiding behind the menacing black clouds. Suddenly, an enormous clap of thunder filled the air as lightning streaked across the castle turrets. Immediately, I woke up and could taste the fear and danger in the air. What was that? I thought as I heard what seemed to be screams and cries in the distance. So I'm trying to appeal to your senses there. You've got a metaphor in there. Okay. So it's getting you to think about using your senses, using similes, personification, and metaphors to be able to really get your reader immersed in what you are writing. So your last challenge, page 29, write me a fantastic description. Use those handy hints that they are suggesting. But as I say, don't forget you can use previous things to make it the best piece of home learning writing you have done. Have fun. Have a lovely weekend. And I can't wait to see you all on Monday. Bye, guys. Bye-bye.